Hey, it's PHILA and you're watching PHILA TV, the ultimate YouTube channel. I'm no cinematographer, just a dude with a camera. And you know how I love yuccas? Well, this is part 2 of free roadside yuccas. Alright, so you can see I've got little ink marks, little white marks, arrows pointing the direction that these things need to grow. And so what I'm just going to do, I mean, this is too big and it's going to be too hard to keep this thing alive. So I'm going to cut it down to some more manageable sizes, you know. And then this one, I normally cut these at about a 6 or 8 inch section, but I've already got a bunch of those. So I'm going to try and go taller than that. So I think that maybe this one I'll just cut into maybe thirds. So as you can see, I have an arrow pointing up. And then there's another one here. This is kind of interesting how it makes this bend. So I want to kind of save that. So I'm going to cut this one here, let's say. And this one I'm going to cut in half, like so. And this is a real thick one. This one, you can see, is really stunted in growth because it was, for one, it had a bloom, and for two, it was wedged up against some other ones. So this one too, I'm going to cut this in 3 pieces. And you don't have to be delicate with these things because they are pretty resilient. So this one I got to cut the end off so it's square first. And then I'm going to cut it to about here. Okay. And then the last two, same thing. I'm going to cut the bottom so it's, you know, semi-square, because this is the ones I just broke off by hand. And then I'm going to cut this one to about here as well. Okay, now that we've got everything cut up and organized, as you can see, we have our 6 tops, and we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 or 15 center sections. This one still needs to be trimmed. Center sections that will grow like these other ones. Okay, so ultimately what we wanted these to do is to take on root, and then they will eventually grow their own pups within just a few weeks. And we're going to get these started in water. And like I said, this is what our end result is going to be. So this time I'm going to go with longer ones. You know, to give you an idea, we're going to go longer because those would be kind of cool. All right, so I've got down here a couple of buckets of water. And as you can see, I've got little arrows on these. So I could just drop them in the water and make sure the arrow is facing up. And then this one, like I said, I'm going to have to give it a trim before it goes in. It doesn't need that much water, so I'm going to let this just drink up as much as it can overnight, and then I'm going to spill most of this out, and then it's going to be a couple of weeks until we start seeing some activity, but I will fill you in on it. Okay, and with these other 6 that are left, what I'm going to do is, remember I told you about taking off anything with damage. So you can see I'm going to take a few rows off of here to get down to that one. And all these, they don't need this many leaves this time of year. So that's cool. That's growing out. So I'm going to strip all these down, take another row or 2 of leaves out of it. And then those are going to go into this bucket of water. And I'm going to let them sit there and hydrate themselves for a while and drink up whatever they need. And then I'm going to try and figure out, probably just plant them individually. But I'm going to come back in the next segment and show you what I normally do with these, how I put them into groups of 3. So I will be back. Okay, now that these have been soaking overnight and they're really well hydrated, I don't want to leave them in here because I don't want them to get soggy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to drain almost all the water out and leave maybe 3 inches of water at the bottom, and then just keep my eye on them so they don't lose, you know, so they don't dry out. And we will continue to follow them. But like I said, you don't want to leave them in this much water for too long. You know, a few days if you have to, until you can get ready to go. But like I said, since these have all been saturated and they're nice and heavy, it's okay to go ahead and remove all the water. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so I found a smaller bucket that I'm going to use, and you know, now's a good time to just go through here and you clean up all the hair off of these now that they've been soaking. But you could also do it as it dries. So this one still is a top, but like I said, it's kind of cool. So I'm going to actually cut that piece off, but I'm going to leave this one also in with these yucca stumps here. So you can do, like I said, you can take these canes and just completely clean, you know, as much as you want, but you're going to be in here. See, like, here's a good one. Get all this stuff off, you know, if you want to. But as it dries, you could also pull it off. So, like I said, it's going to be into a smaller bucket. I'm just going to add, you know, about this much water in there. And I'm going to keep this actually someplace where I can be near it and, you know, constantly keep that water clean. This bucket's just a bit too big because you can see they'll be falling in there. And so here's a perfect example. That fell over, but since I got an arrow, I know exactly which way is up. So that was a lesson learned. And so all of these, you can see, whenever I look at them, because, you know, sometimes I'll take pictures and I'll go, oh, and I'll put it back upside down. But how would I know? So anyways, normally you would tell it tapers, but not all of them. So like I said, I keep them arrow pointing up and I'm good to go. All right, so we're going to give this probably, I'm guessing 2 or 3 weeks until we start seeing anything. What we're going to see is little nubs. It'll probably be a month before anything really sprouts, but we'll keep an eye on it. Today is, we'll call this February 1st, so we remember. Okay, so we've got to this stage where everything's been trimmed and cut down and soaked overnight. As you can see, I put these into a separate bucket, and I'm going to manage about 3 inches of water at the bottom. And for this one, I don't want to put this directly in the dirt. That's what I always do, and this time I'm going to try taking huge ones and propagating and growing roots, you know, in water. But I don't want to have the water this high, and we're going to be expecting a lot of rain, and this is going to be outdoors. So, you know, I don't want these to be just swamped the whole time because they will rot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another bucket, and I figured that, you know, maybe 3 inches of water in this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a couple of holes at around, you know, this height here. so it'll always maintain that exact level of water. And I'm just going to stand these up in here. And then as I fill it full of water, it's going to get right where it wants to be. And then all I have to do is make sure I maintain it. So this is about maybe 3 inches. And that's all I want to do because, like I said, I don't want any rot, but I want it to propagate. So we're going to set this one aside. And we're going to watch that. Like I said, it has to see. I'm going to move indoors because I don't want to put any holes in my bucket. And I want to be able to keep an eye on them. And these are the ones we're going to be monitoring on a regular basis. So these will stay indoors so they don't get swamped. Okay, as you can see that these are in the studio now and they'll be safe for the winter time. Okay, so and the big ones are going to sit over here at the tail end of the maple garden. And so I'll be able to look at these. And like I said, we've got its own level in there. So it's going to keep a certain amount of water and they will just sit out here. So anyways, I will check back in maybe 4 weeks and we'll see what kind of roots and what kind of sprouts the canes and stumps have. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Look forward to part 3 will be maybe March 1st. Let's put a target date on that. All right, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Look for me on Instagram at PHILA TV channel. And thanks for watching. PHILA TV.